Hiya, Flat Earth British, Martinliedtke speaking. Welcome back for a new post. A quick post today and an exciting post. We're going to look into whether it was feasible in the past for engineers to actually construct in the ancient world a tunnel under the Atlantic Ocean connecting both worlds. We're going to look into some indirect evidence that this could be a possibility. To me, feasible, to me, doable, and to me, highly probable when I lay down all of these puzzle pieces for you here today. So good to see you all. Double flat thumbs to infinity thrice. I will be back on Saturday. I'll give you a rundown on everything that's happening in Flat Earth British on this post. And today we're going to get straight into the juice. Okay, guys, please make sure to share this video presentation and like it if you did. Thank you. So we're going to start here. Is it feasible? Was it doable? Of the engineers of what they say the 1800s, were there any ideas of, or were there any engineering proposals put forward, for example, for such an endeavor as a transatlantic tunnel system? Well, I think you're going to find a few surprises in this post today. Buckle in. Here we go again. So start here and we'll get orientated. Now, the narrative for communications from what they call the New World, the Old World, America, to the European continent was connected by the Anglo-American Telegraph Company, or so they say, established 1866. And you can see the 4 cables to America, duplex systems, and they're all at different dates. I'm guessing some of these are cited for being laid by the Great Eastern ship built by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Now, is it feasible for them to build a tunnel 1,700 miles across here, say, to Newfoundland? And is it possible, is what I'm asking. Well, there are clues, like you wouldn't believe, that this might be the case. Coal. Funnily enough, I'm Welsh, and I come from the South Wales area, where our most prominent industry in the past was the coal, the South Wales coal mine. I come from Tiger Bay, a city called Cardiff that used to be the biggest coal exporter of the late 1800s, 1900 mark in the world. Now, is it possible, guys, that there is a transatlantic tunnel system leading from Wales to Pennsylvania in America? As crazy as that sounds, guys, there is, in fact, a seam that runs under the Atlantic Ocean, the Great Atlantic Fault, also known as the Dark Artery. Here is the coal face, same height in Pennsylvania as it is in Wales. No difference whatsoever. If you're in Pennsylvania and Wales, you would not know where you were or the difference. Pit ponies and clearing off the face. And they used large amounts of child labor. And this is in Pennsylvania. Now, some of you may or may not know that there is a famous coal stream that starts in the north of Spain, goes under the Bay of Biscay, and comes up in Wales. Then it goes across the Atlantic Ocean and comes up in Pennsylvania, USA. Coincidentally, there is a township in Pennsylvania called North Wales, and there was a well-known tunnel, a long tunnel, and they're still present today, but it's been blocked off or bricked up closed. They say due to a water leakage, but it shows there was a tunnel at some stage between North Wales and Pennsylvania. Could it be? Much, much longer. Now, persons were found in these tunnels, they say in the narrative, to be human bodies encased in some trains that were inside this railway that led from North Wales to Pennsylvania. This is a Pennsylvania coal miner, and I can't tell a difference between him and a Welshman or a Welsh coal miner or a Northern British coal miner. And child labour used in Britain also, as I will show you some footage of a little bit later. Also, north of England, girls worked on the mines as well. They're mine because they're mine. And this coal face, now this coal face is identical in Wales. It's 4.5 foot high. The stream goes right onto the Atlantic and it comes up in Pennsylvania, where it is also 4.5 feet high. You can't tell the difference, but that coal face is exactly the same as it is in Wales, as it is in Pennsylvania. Isn't that mind-blowing? Now, Wikipedia, as I'll show you in a minute, does have a little bit of a citations saying it's a theoretical idea. It was proposed, but it may have been too expensive. But if it was down there, Wikipedia surely ain't going to tell you. But I'm thinking, guys, that it was dug out. It was dug out in the early 1800s, possibly a lot earlier in the ancient world, because the coal barons were profiting from the tunneling by digging out and exploring the vein. So dig, you get them going down 2 miles, digging into the coal face, hit west, carry on going through that coal stream all the way, and you're getting the coal out at the same time as digging your way to America. Get air pumped in. Feasible? Sure. There's this famous coal stream that comes through region of bituminous coals, and they run right the way through the South Wales region, and also in northern England as well. There are coal mines. So Britain is very famous for coal mining in some regions anyway. Now, this guy here is Richard Burton, the very, very famous Welsh actor. And he's here on the Dick Cavett show. And he's talking about his humble Welsh beginnings and his father being a coal miner. And the story he tells is of this scene that comes up in Pennsylvania. That you can't tell apart if you were in Wales or Pennsylvania, where you are. They are identical, because they're the same scene. He explains how his father, he was a very tough background. I would love to play this Dick Cavett, but I 100% know that they would copyright me. I will link this up. Please listen to this interview yourself. Richard Burton shows himself to be a very humble and intelligent man in this video, and I really dig it, and he really did well. But Dick Cavett is probably, he was the most intelligent chat show host that ever existed, because the rest were nowhere near as good as Dick Cavett. So have a listen to that, and he will tell you about this scene, this basically the Great Atlantic Fault. Now, where could the tunnel entrance be? Well, I think this. I think that there are a lot of evidence that we pulled up on Flat Earth British for tunnels that are already there. They look quite ancient, and they are having the mud dug out after a mud flood. Now, could it be possible that the tunnel came across the Atlantic and then splits off and connects up with, say, the New York subway system that is also being built at the same era, and the London subway system? And is this a way of getting vast amounts of people across the Atlantic? I will show you a tally in a little while of the population growth of the United States of America, and something becomes quite obvious, that they can't bring them all from sea. It's too many people. Here's a tunnel entrance from the ancient world, all grassed over and blocked up. Could it have been some ancient railway system, or even maglev, or other forms like the pneumatic 1870s, not even that long after the apparent invention of the train. You're having pneumatic systems, and this tunneling machine of 1908 that lays the tunnel as you're going. I think if they had the capability to dig the Severn Tunnel in England to Wales, or the Mersey Tunnel, or in more recent days, they say the Channel Tunnel. I think that these things were there possibly already and just mud flooded through. Same for the Moscow underground. All within 20 years, all of these undergrounds are dug. Moscow, New York, and London, the oldest and deepest on Earth. Could it be possible that they are just trafficking huge amounts of people underground, even to this day, out of the way of planes, boats, eyes, out of the way of human sight? Would it really surprise you if, if they was like, somebody said, get on this train, where does it go? It's going under the Atlantic. I wouldn't even surprise me. It's like, what, you got a tunnel that goes under the Atlantic? Sure. The people don't know about it. It could look something like this, or the Channel Tunnel. Ancient. And there. What about this? You bust through an old, this is in New York State, maybe Amity, I don't know, but it's in New York State. And you can see this old world wall with large blocks has been smashed through. This is a coin here, but this side has. And inside is a tunnel shaft, which was probably there already and blocked up. Like these old world tunnels. Dug out, I think. Like this. Are they really digging out these sewers in the Parisian underground? Because this giant encasing looks like it's there already. So what did they do? They laid the concrete on top of the dirt and mud. No, because that would make no sense, you see. So this thing here above them was there already, and they're digging everything out inside. Like this. Get the really acute tunnel, but it's full of dirt, and they're just digging it out straight through there. Like that. Would you not agree that that looks definitely like a railway tunnel? Oh, sure, it's ancient Assyrian, but the fact still remains it's a tunnel-looking entrance, and it is full of mud. It's been shored up, it's full of mud. How do you know? The entrance wasn't something like that, and you could just drive straight through, or a train straight through. We even had these things. You had the Saint-Martin Canal, okay, in France, is a subterranean canal system that expansive. Now, I don't see they need to put a canal under the Atlantic Ocean. That would make no sense with it being water above. But a high-speed rail link or along those lines could move a ton of people. Or the elites, where they don't have to have anything to do with the, people, because they don't want to be near us. Look at the size on this ancient world tunnel. So built for what exactly? Horse and cart. This bus looks tiny compared to it. And this human. And they got a doorway going in. This is an ancient tunnel system with some sort of technology for the air going in there. Possibly from an ancient railway system or tunnel, which it looks like. Some sort of network of transport. So as I said, they did cite it in Wikipedia, but Wikipedia don't mean anything in this world. There is a movie made about it I share with you now, and it's really groovy actually, from 1935 called The Tunnel. And it talks about a transatlantic tunnel. But they say it's a theoretical tunnel that would span the Atlantic Ocean between North America and Europe, possibly for such purposes as mass transit. Yeah, definitely. Some proposals envision technology advanced trains reaching up to 500 to 8,000 kilometers per hour. Most conceptions of the tunnel envisioned it between the United States and the United Kingdom, or New York and London. Now, the main barriers of construction, they said, for a tunnel that would cost 88. They say it was just extravagant pricing, but the major existing tunnels, such as the Channel Tunnel or that Gothard Base Devil Tunnel that we mentioned in the past, and they've built them and they are really expansive. So proposed tunnels in the past are really interesting. The back train was proposed in the 1960s to run 3,100 miles long in a near vacuum tube. The vac trains. theoretical type of maglev train would travel at speeds of 5,000 miles an hour. At a speed, time travel between New York City and London would be less than 1 hour. So that is quite amazing. And jet propulsion, they proposed a rocket or a jet or a scramjet air pressurized tunnel for train transportation have also been put forward. Now, let me just say, guys, if they're thinking about it, I think they're doing it. In the proposal described in Extreme Engineering episode. And there is some history, they say, in the realms of, I guess, in fiction with Jules Verne writing about an underground express train in the future. And they've been cited in things like Strand Magazine, Der Tunnel, a novel there from 1913, as a subterranean transatlantic tunnel. The Germans as well had a version there. And that film I can link up to you that I just mentioned just now. So I think it's feasible. I think they're saying it's not cost effective. It would be too dear, but I think that they could do it. I really do. If they're doing, I know how deep the Atlantic is, but in parts further north from, I don't want to go back to that map, but if you go from, say, Wales, around the Irish Sea, and then cut up to Iceland, zip across to Greenland, the shortest distance, and then down to Newfoundland. That is shallow ocean. That is shallow ocean. That's not the same as what you'd expect mid-ocean, 3 miles deep. It's more like a mile or so, or more. So I think they could dig into these coal mines and then dig west. And literally the coal barons are getting the coal out when they don't need it because it's free energy, what they want the coal for anyway. They want the coal out because they're digging a seam out to dig to America. Makes perfect sense, guys. Think about it. So, like I said, it's Transatlantic Tunnel, 1935. And this movie I can link up where it's proposed by a board, its feasibility, and later on it's constructed and you get a really fast train that goes through the Atlantic. So I'll link that up below in the descriptions box. I don't want to mess around with time today. Okay. So, oh, look at that. A teleprompter in 1932. Holy hell, look at that. Do you see that? Holy crap, guys. That's like a television up on the screen in 1932. Wow, that is mind-blowing. So there's the train. So I guess in maybe this. Okay. We're getting in it there. Maybe this, that you got invaded. America got invaded through a tunnel system. I'll show you evidence for how they've done this in the past. During the Napoleonic Wars, it was proposed to invade England through tunnels. And who you were before is not who you are now. Because basically, not to put a finer point on it, America's proper Nazi, isn't it? Yeah. So I don't think it started out that way at all. I think you've been invaded. I think we've all been invaded. I know we've been taken over by corporates, etc., and governments do not exist anymore. But I'm saying in the recent past, maybe it's connected with why the cities are laying empty, the reset, and why everyone's missing, where everyone's gone. So there is evidence all over Wales of secret tunnel systems. Cardiff is famous for some as well. I'll show you a little bit later. But Tintern Abbey has a secret medieval tunnel system found by accident. Some builders went in near Tintern Abbey in the Wye Valley in Monmouthshire. They attributed to be in 12th century. They would say that, though. How do we know where these tunnels go? Secret tunnels. How do we know where they end up? They're all full of rubble. They could go onto a network which takes you down to like something like what the London Underground looks like today, but ancient, and wishes you off to America land. The Wye Valley is absolutely beautiful, if you don't know. The mud is good enough to eat in Wales. It's beautiful. You can smell it. It's gorgeous. I love Welsh earth. It's got hoyle. So evidence of tunnel systems in Tinton Abbey going they don't know where, who even knows, but there could be an entrance in somewhere. So they have done stuff transatlantic, as we know. In this case, this is Cardiff Bay. I'm going to show you a little bit of footage of this later. Not this. This is the Terra Nova with Scott of the Antarctic on it, leaving Tiger Bay, Cardiff. But I've gone into boating with my son. Bought a sail yacht, sailboat, and we're learning well, I'm brushing up on my navigation. We're learning pilot charts, getting familiar with the weather, relearning everything actually, guys, and learning about sails in order to do a voyage, a proper voyage. And we are going to do it because we're intrepid, and we're going to put it all on YouTube. It's all in the planning, and we are in training. All will be explained along the way. So this is the Terra Nova. This is Penarth Head, which I'll show you shortly. And he's off to his ill-fated voyage in the Southern Oceans. As he said, he's going down to Antarctica. He may have veered off north and just gone into a Scottish loch for the winter, like Shackleton did with his ship, because it was witnessed in a loch in Scotland and not actually in Antarctica at all. So the training ships, the tall ships. Now the Russians still use their Black Sea Fleet has tall ships, still sail ships in its navy. It's the only one left. They do training ships in Norfolk, Virginia, sail ships for the Marine. They learn you navigation this way, celestial navigation and sails, because that is, if all engines fail, you got your backup, the wind. And so I've been looking into the physics of sailing. I didn't really understand it. Now I'm learning. I'm having my mind blown. It's not working about anything like I thought it was working. I thought the wind was actually pushing it along, but it's actually working the way a plane's wing is working a sail. Exactly. It creates lift and forward motion. And it's really interesting. I'm super into it at the moment. So yeah, this is a training ship. Not sure what country it's from, but it's a load of kids in the Navy training ships. Now, Titanic. Titanic is all of this is actually connected. This tunnel narrative that I'm putting forward, the Titanic, the Telegraph, the Great Western, it all connects dots. So they say that they laid a telegraph down in the 1800s. I'm saying it was there already. I'm saying the Great Eastern and all of that narrative is a load of shit, as is the one of the three ships, the Britannic, the Titanic, or the Olympic, whichever one this is. We'll look into that in this post. Sinks because it's a supposed iceberg, and the first telegraph communication rescue-wise is from the ill-fated Titanic. What are the chances? And here is the Titanic with its people being put into lifeboats. Here's the Great Eastern. That's only a small image. Being built by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. It's the most expensive and biggest ship ever built of the 1800s. They have terrible time with it, terrible time launching it. It's literally a white whale. It's zapping all of the money of his company. He's got to get it finished. It's the biggest endeavor ever. The chains are massive. It does a couple of voyages across the Atlantic. They say it's not cost effective on coal. Then it ends up apparently laying them transatlantic communication lines that I just showed you, and then ends up on the Wirral, rotting away. But they only give you these pictures for it. That's the case. The most expensive ship within 20 years, she's looking like that, is not fitting right in my mind. There's something else going on. Like the narrative is bullshit. So they say they laid these cables on the seabed. Never mind this mid-Atlantic ridge that's supposed to be there and everything else. They lay these cables on the seabed of the Atlantic Ocean, breaking up the Great Eastern. There she is on the Wirral, rotting away. And I guess they broke her up because she's not there anymore. Must have been on the water only a few years and all at expense. Makes no sense. Get rid of the thing that they said laid the cables down more. Like here she is on a deck. They did have some cable laying machines, and you can find video of it on YouTube laying these, which are essentially bachets. which are essentially fasces, bundles of rods bound together. I think they could be more ancient. So is it really possible that they could have laid this tunnel into the Atlantic Ocean? Well, they were definitely proposing an invasion of England under the English Channel in the Napoleonic Wars. It would have been from balloons. As you know, you can get up to 8,000 people in a balloon, even more. And a armada across from France, and the rest of the army through a tunnel under, which is there. I don't even think that the English Channel, when they said they met at one end and they met at the other with a friend, shook hands, whoopee-doo, and mathematics are incredible, how we managed that without lasers. I think it was there already, and they're just digging the mud out that was already loosened. It may have been all smashed up and everything, but I think the course, and I think it was there. And this is some ideas of how they could have got you around. Is everyone piles on what is essentially a pneumatic train. An hour later, coming up in New York. The grand vacuum tube were proposed in the past as well, just as I mentioned. This tube company, everyone guessing, off to your next destination. Why wouldn't they have it? Nothing new under the sun. I think they're quicker in the past. They were in the air, taking large things in the air, and they were using pneumatic or vacuum tubes even before the bloody steam train or diesel train. Here's the newspapers at the time talking about the Olympic, or excuse me, the Britannic. So White Star steamer Britannic goes down. Also, the Olympic has gone down as well. Really announces 1,100 have been saved. 50 lives lost, was the largest vessel afloat. Largest vessel afloat at the time. The date of that was in the First World War. Okay, she was hit by a torpedo. And that was in the World Vancouver News. So the Britannic, identical to the Titanic, she goes down, but they don't lose all life, apparently. So if you're out in sea, they had these in the past. Today they use, I guess, batteries. They had a bell in the past and self-luminous buoys. Now, if they had these in the days of the tramp steamers, they've got, like, in Victorian era, they got self-illuminating lights. They have to, because they have. There. So I propose that there's a tunnel down there. I propose that these cables are older and the narrative of the Great Eastern sucks. Just completely sucks. Here's Paris. Here's an idea for an underground chamber. And it looks like a giant cannon, but it'll get you where you want to go at the speed of a bullet, as long as you can handle the inertia. And here's the ill-fated Titanic. Oh, I just bought 2 tickets, Harold, to the Titanic. Oh, that sounds nice. Mabel, where we going? New York City. It's the biggest, most comfortablest, safest ship on Earth. In fact, they say she's unsinkable. Awesome, Dawson. Nothing bad will happen then. She's leaving Belfast in this. Then she sails down to Southampton. And she sails from there to New York and never makes it because dopey captain. So other newspaper reports, they don't say what the other ones show on Google. These ones say all saved from the Titanic after the collision. Okay. And the World, again, says Titanic sinking, no loss of lives. And this Titanic sunk, no loss of lives, collision with iceberg, largest ship in the world, 2,358 lives in peril, is what the newspapers are saying there. But they're not saying that a load of people get drowned and died. Only Hollywood are saying that, and Leonardo DiCaprio in that stupid bloody film. One thing that bugs me is population growth worldwide. How all of the cities all just shit out of nowhere at the 1800s. America is no exception. The growth is ridiculous. I don't want to believe this because it's ridiculous. What I'm about to propose now is that they got all of these people to America on on paddle steamers and tramp steamers and clippers, etc. in the 1800s. The population of America in 1800, guys, is only 5,300,000. That's all. But you get up to, say, 1910, and you've got 92,200,000. Oh, right. So you've got a growth of over 80 million people have been shipped on paddle steamers and tramp steamers from Europe. 80 million. And they all got processed in, I'm guessing, Ellis Island and other internment camps. Yeah? Okay. 2020, she's up to 331 million. That's a bit of a growth since 1800, wouldn't you say? This is like half the population of the Czech Republic. This is not a lot of people. It explodes too much. The growth is too much. They came from somewhere else. They can't have all come from sea. And when they arrive, possibly through the tunnels, to both ways, getting Acadians out of Canada into the old world for reassimilation, getting Tatarians over to America, re-brainwashing. Where you came from originally is probably other lands rather than an underground, a lab, is what I'm thinking. This is a one-room schoolhouse in Wales, where I come from. Isn't it curious? They kept the boys and the girls separate in school. They were extremely strict. Nobody's happy in this schooling days, and they got everybody in one room with one teacher and a globe and all of the history. And they're pushing at this stage Darwinism, evolutionary theory, and all of these just bogus theories. So this is another mode of control, and it's a very, diluted education system at that period for a lot of people. And another big thing in the 1800s and 1900s is mental illness. Why is it? Even today, so many people like this? I would go as far as to say some sort of maybe they got injected with something along the way to make them this way, but it seems that there was buildings full of completely nutty people in the 1800s. Something was so bad that people were not really holding up very well. They were going nuts. Tunnel systems you can find anywhere in the world, and you'll find the people travel through them. This one is just a gate, but a gate is a tunnel, and it goes through into another city. A portal, if you like. A portal. And look at these. This is a nice little picture. I think it's somewhere, maybe Damascus. I think it is actually. Very old floor there. And as we know, the orphan trains or buses, jam-packed full of children, all arriving from seemingly nowhere with no parents. Where did they all come from originally? Did they come from the east? Well, no, not really. I haven't got out there yet. Built it all, have you? So it come from the west. West where? Or from Ellis Island, they all came through New York. Did they? Or could they have come through the trains that they're already on through the tunnel? Made you think, haven't I? And then you get all of the American cities and European cities and British cities literally overrun with poverty-stricken children with no parents, and a lot of them end up in industry and just put to work early. Richard Burton mentions that his father was put into the coal mine at 13 and he come up at 65. Was that because he was digging his way to America? But his entire life underground and died of pneumoconiosis. So this is what you do, okay, in the Victorian era. If you're a fella, you should get your budgie smugglers on. you get your top hat on and you go swimming with your top hat because that is sure to stay on. He's got a big one, haven't he? He's got a big one too. That's for the ladies. So they never had the motor car, but the children at the turn of the last century seem to know all about, like, propelling this wheel along with a stick. Do you think they'd have expanded upon this somewhere or other with transportation, wouldn't you? Why isn't the car around when the electric tram is? And this is the entertainment of the day. They didn't have video recorders, Betamax, or an 8-track. They played stick and hoop, which is probably jolly good fun. So where did they go on their school trips? They did have school trips in the old days of British schooling. They went to cheap funeral directors because when you actually die of consumption in a year or two, or possible starvation in the slums of Britain, then you'll be able to find out where you're going eventually. It's a really happy day out for all British school children. You've got to learn somewhere. Here's Charrington in London, and it is a typical street scene of 100 years ago. An innocent time. The world is completely messed up, but people were going missing then. I think it was somewhere in the region of 500,000 children went missing at 1900, predominantly blonde. They suggested they were going off to some sheikhs and stuff, but I don't know. This thing's been going on too long. So what happens to the children? Well, they end up impoverished in what was a glittering civilization, and they seem to automatically put their hands out and arms for Allah. It's just crazy. And then they pile them into these big cities, which apparently have not been there that long. Some of them in America. This one is in London, a variation city. England feels Gothic. In fact, it feels more Gothic than Germany or Czech Republic or any of those places. It feels like it's Neuro Umro Gothica is what Britain feels like. It feels dark. There is experiments going on with each city where they're subject to abuse. And it's all satanic by nature, as you know. And this is going on in all British cities. They are experimenting on us. We are rats in a cage. And the elite, some of them, they do bets on us. See whether we're going to make it or not. But I don't think there's that many of us in yet, actually. Maybe only a few million. Or what the rest is filling in space, guys. What are they contributing to reality, really? They're cleaning her out of food. That's all. So here's the London slums. And the one-room schoolhouses for brainwashing of the arrivals that probably got through the tunnels, and workhouses. Their crime? Probably not having a parent. Their dinner? Bread and water. Please, sir, can I have some more? 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 Ow! Don't ask for more. And Brook Street Industrial School. This is an image of, and they're sort of training kids over here with the alphabet. Pretty advanced stuff. But if you're an elite brat, you'd be off to Oxford or America, Berkeley, and you'll be learning about absolutely nothing, probably making stuff up. And here's a modern day hospital in Wales. And you get all of these demented. They are still around, proper nuts. And I don't know what chemical imbalance or what makes people like that. Maybe something to do with birth. Maybe they do it in birth. I know they squash our nose and retard the breathing. If we had a straighter nose like the Phoenicians, we'd get more oxygen to our brain. We'd be capable of more brain activity. As you can think better. When I'm at sea or when I'm on the water, because it's giving off so much oxygen, I noticed that I could coordinate my mind better. Cognitive abilities, it's just picked right up, and it was the sea. And I remember that from before, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's brilliant. Or Brian is working on all cylinders. So they are the slums of London. So that's how a lot of people in America and Britain and everywhere else lived like shit after a reset in terrible conditions. It's really, really sad life. It's all like Bleak House, Charles Dickens. for a lot of people. We used to do this. I've actually done this. There were still lampposts around like this when I was a child. And this is your, like, basically your fairground ride, is getting a rope and swinging around these old lampposts, which were apparently gas. And there's a mudflood window there. So this is a right squalid mess in the slums. I'm not sure where that is even going, or what even is up, or what even is down. The front door there. All right, he looks quite smart. That kid could fall off them stairs there and would, like, really just die. That's a mismatch of building, but all right, I really like that photograph. Now we're going to look into, in a little while, these, right now actually, these families and people from different countries and their dress. We're going to pay attention to their dress. Now, what I've noticed, and I've mentioned before, is the Arab peoples, although I don't know what's happening with you, if I was to hazard a guess, I would say that they were all in fancy dress. Okay? But who knows? What you find is uniforms. The army wear uniforms, the school wear uniforms, everybody the same, breaks them down. We know how this mentality works, but more. The civilians of Russia have a uniform. I'll show you shortly. The Mexicans, they have these white uniforms. Piss poor, really, at this period. Europeans, well, these old ladies have all been given these uniforms. Europeans have, like, same as the Australians, and that black demob suit type things, and the women in crinoline gowns. The Chinese, they have coolie hats and white, sort of cool, I guess, but a lot like the Mexican type affairs, but identical to one another. They've been given a uniform by what? The state. So everyone looks the same. When did that happen? When they arrived. That's when they arrived. This ship here is called the Royal Tar. Yeah, I'm not making it up. It's the Royal Tar. It's going to Australia as recently as 1900s, early 1900s, and it's taking mass migration of children. A lot of these ends up in, abuse situations out in the outback with some twisted, crazy, fucking pike head on a stick guy off that film. Yeah, it's just like the worst type. They're like Abbott, who sort of apologized years later, not too many years ago, for the terrible abuses happened to all of these. £10 they were giving the parents, £10 to pack up and let's go and repopulate Australia. What a perilous long journey. Look at all them people on that ship. Sheesh. And if you don't do as you're told, you see these uniforms they got, it's Chinese. This is what happens. You end up in the stocks. It used to be like in Britain in the old days. You get punishment, you get pain and stuff. Traditional costumes are similar all over the world. The Irish look like Slavics. The Slavics look like the Bulgarians, the Romanians, the Russians. Have a look at all of their national dress, and there's a similarity between them all, especially with the women. What's going on with these, I'm guessing, Tatarians, I really couldn't say. Outstanding appearance, but these crowns, these high crowns, it's a mystery to me. But it is a fantastic picture. Further east we go. I'm going to pick up on some Mongolians. I wouldn't hazard a guess of what these people's nationality was at all, actually. Possibly Balinese. I don't even know. What would you say, guys? They look slightly Aboriginal, maybe. But then Indian as well. But she looks slightly Chinese Indian, or him. Difficult to say. She. I don't know. Strange uniforms on them, though. Strange color. Patterns. Obviously, it's black and white. So these are out on the steppe in the earth, and these are Tatarians, essentially, are what was left. But these are Mongolians, and they look very similar in dress, even though they got tartan here as well. They look like Peruvian in some of their style and clothing. He doesn't look very happy. And the Mongolians have got these uniforms. I'm guessing they're quilted and they're warm, although they look bloody freezing, all of them. So they haven't got any warmer clothes. Who's giving these jackets? Why are they all wearing identical? It must be off the state. When did they give it to them? Do they just like they arrive naked? Or are they ordered to get rid of all of any independent clothing feelings? And you've got to put all this on. You see what I mean? Or fashions are introduced. So they look really healthy in their earth. He looks healthy. She looks healthy. I don't know what they eat out on the grassland. Probably go catch a gazelle or something. And then they even got beautiful clothes out on the steppe. Look, they live in a mud hut, and the kids are all just like really nicely turned out. Some of them. Here's some more. Difficult to say. Oh God, they're weird looking. Them ones. Really frowny. That one. Don't trust that camera. But Asian regardless. And further east, again, these uniforms, these white collar things, they wear coolie hats and they wear these quilted things. There's only a couple of different clothes they wear, you know, the body warmer type thing. But uniforms, regardless, they all wear the same. Oh, they look cold. It's really windy out there in Siberia or wherever they are. Yep, freezing. And the kids, Jesus, I'm guessing they haven't got water close. Well, them rocks in the background. Them kids don't look like they've ever had a wash. Their hair is tatty. They are absolutely stinking. These two are not so stinking. So they're not doing too well out there. Wales, if you are brainy and you talk in class, this is what happens to you. Yeah. You sit in the corner, either your finger on your lips, in my case, hit if you speak, or this. And I feel sorry for that little kid because he reminds me of me. So here is another settlement in the Great Plains, the steppe of Russia. Again, they're all having, again, they're all in them uniforms, aren't they? This guy seems to be in charge. He seems to be boss man, and everyone's having a communal lunch. They're carrying themselves like they're a bit like the Amish. These seem to be queuing for a seat to be given up while they can't sit on the floor and have their dinner. I would sit on the floor and have my dinner. To further down the road, though, they got a bit more tableage going on. I would like to know what is in there. Probably potatoes. They've not got a lot of food, but they have got them government uniforms or them uniforms. Oh, she got a nice big load of bread. She's a face on her. That is someone you do not argue with. I'm sure she's lovely. And you keep yourself busy in these encampments in Siberia, these log cabins. Well, they look quite comfortable. Weaving, which is what they do to the mentally ill. It's like weave baskets when you're nutty. And they got a well there, so they're sorted for water. Well. And here are the comparison in the modern day. They haven't changed their style too much. I'm guessing they got iPhones and the rest. But they still got the yurts. And they're still out on the steppe. Some royal family, I would suspect. I was looking at it earlier. And I was thinking, Christ, these are a kooky bunch, aren't they? I get that some of the, I've gone to visit the Raj or the Aga Khan. I don't even know what I visited. But it's all like, is this fancy dress? There's a dude here in a long dress. Seems to be happening a lot, especially on transatlantic flights or tunnels. Get it? Transit. Never mind. So there's a big champagne bottle here, like huge bottle, with a man inside because his arms are showing, and it's on a rope. Not thinking that's comfortable. Yeah, they're a curious bunch, aren't they? Don't trust any of these. And like Westerners, like Royals or like Rudyard Kipling or any of them, I don't even know how if they're that horrible and they go off killing beasties or animals, right? How nasty is he? Because I'm getting this vibe off this guy that he'd kill his own mother. This guy, he's giving me a bad buzz. Yeah, he's not trustworthy. Wouldn't it be nice if that cheetah just ripped his arm off? Murderer. So that's what they do. They go and kill a ton of animals in India in the days of the Raj. In Britain, Oh, well, they're all in slums, the working classes, digging coal, or digging the tunnel, more like, and everyone else is stark raving mad in lunatic asylums. Why is that, guys? Use the Russians. I feel so sorry for these people, really. Everyone. I feel sorry for everyone. You can't do that. So there's a big chain there. I wonder what that is. He's not. He's looking at something in his hat. I hope that's eggs for your children. They're in terrible rags. Don't cry, guys. It was 100 years ago. They're probably dead by now anyway. Not long after that picture, by the look of them. Look at this. So here's a snobby family, all in their European equivalent uniform. So it is starch shirts, black, colourless, shitty clothes. And what is this for a fuel source? It's not got a chimney, unless it's got it on a back. It's really nice. I'm thinking this is a radium heater. Because they've not got a coal fire, they got a really flashy radium heater. Here's another family of what the so-called Victorian era, the settlers, the arrivals, newbies, getting into the new way the world is supposed to be, you know, God, the devil, death, love, working, taxes, short life, 70 years if you're lucky or what have you. And that's what people are going to put their hands up and say, yeah, okay, that sounds fantastic. Give me some of that. How many years of it will be good out of the 70? Oh, probably around none. So here's some Victorians having a giggle. And they're going cheeky chops or pulling his moustache or something. And they're laying on the floor. And I'll show what's going on. And looks a little bit gay. And sure, this lady, she's like, I didn't put arsenic in his food. That wasn't me. Because she looks like she's definitely a poisoner. Looks like she did a couple of husbands. She loves a cat, like all poisoners. I think it's more frequent than you may imagine, guys. What's she keeping on a mantelpiece? It's a little basket. Guess what she keeps in there? You know it. Oh, she's nice. Let's have a look what she's up to in her Victorian dwelling, this arrival. She's got a painting in a fireplace. Why is that? Is it the middle of summer and you won't be needing your fire? Or is it not a fireplace? You've got another painting, all these things, and this material. That fireplace is not used, is it, guys? How is she keeping warm in winter? What, you're saying she takes all of this away and lights a fire? No, that makes no sense. No. Isn't that interesting? Wonder what she's thinking about. Probably. A lot of people are, aren't they, guys? Here's another one of those funky heaters, but I can see this one's a wood burner. It's got a chimney out the back. She's reading a bit of Charles Dickens. And oh, he's a Dapper Dan man. He's got one of those tashes. He's bona fide. That's it. He's bona fide. So she looks like she got a little coal fire, although it doesn't really look like a coal fire. And she got some underarms there, possibly emitting heat. She's got a mirror. She's got a mirror over a coal fire. That would crack, wouldn't it, with heat? I don't know. Anyway, she's got a giant possible lollipop. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm really thinking what this is. Did she make a homemade foot shoe thing, put away thing? Really interesting anyway. So yeah, if you're going out on a school trip in the past in Europe, I don't know where this mudflood building is, this monastery, they allow you, right, to go and walk a mummy around or a corpse around the grass and pose a photograph. Yeah, I know. That is really, really, really weird. I know. So I had an invite to go back to the Czech Republic next month, but I haven't got any money. But I got invited to go to, I don't actually need much, but I really want to go to an oswestry. They've got 40,000 dead bodies in it and go underground in Prague and to a place called Devil's Wheelbarrow, which is another megalithic site on top of a mountain, and do some work and fantastic vlogs. So these indigenous peoples are in giant bamboo. Is bamboo that big, guys? What kind of bamboo is that? If you was to do that bamboo torture, this would be awful, wouldn't it? You probably don't know about that. I'm not telling you. So what frame of reference has he got to put this like sort of motorbike helmet on? Does he really look like that? Christ. And this guy here, who looks like one of the predators, or predator, doesn't he? It's like his mouth's going to open. He's got like predator. If you haven't seen that film, that joke wouldn't have worked. What about these indigenous peoples? They arrived from somewhere, didn't they? What are they thinking, and why have they built them strange hats? I don't know what they think they look like. So more indigenous peoples. These are nice. These are out in Russia, and they got themselves a nice little log cabin, stone cabin dasher thing. Nice little door, keep you warm in the winter. That would. The size of these stones around it, though. You're telling me the dad lifted them stones in place? Nay, nay, nay. I think that there was something there before, don't you? And what about this roof tech? Interesting. I'm looking more some more indigenous peoples. And these are in uniforms as well. And they're in a monastery. And they're a load of monkeys. Monkages? He's had a guts for. There's no women there, right? Is there? No. He's European. He's European. Looking right pissed off. He is. Oh, there's quite a few Europeans. There's no women, is there? See, I might join a nunnery. That'd be brilliant. Some more arrivals. I don't know what they think they look like. Sorry, I shouldn't have showed you that. You feel slightly disturbed now. Don't have nightmares. It'll all be okay. Is this a real photograph? So he's not an arrival, but he probably is. Adolf Hitler. With a load of what look like schoolgirls. They could be sixth form. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Not. Is he really there? As I really, really think that's superimposed in there by probably Photoshop of CIA 1940. Because I really don't think he's there. He's got a very modern suit on. He's looking a bit Clark Gable there. And what the fuck? I think that is put in there. I don't even think he's there. Talking of nuns, nun on the run. Look at her. Who does she think she is? I know, little tramp, right? Yeah, yeah. She's not really. She's a nun. Well, you know what I mean. She would have been if she hadn't been a nun. Yeah, you're right. So probably that was the conversation. You know what people are like. I do. What I'm doing here. This is a sail ship, big one. And this is, I think, maybe the American Navy by the look of his hat. And they got a mortar on deck. Does this swivel? If you fired this, wouldn't it take out the rigging? Frigging in the rigging. Talking of frigging in the rigging. Would you do that in a storm? In that weather? I've been out in weather like that, guys. You think you're going to die. You don't want to go out on deck. You want to cower down below decks and die 1,000 deaths because you're that ill. Never mind go aloft and release the sails. In this day and age, though, any clippers, they got electric mechanisms and they unravel the sails and ravel them back up again electrically. But in the old days, if he slips off that rope, his foot, right, or wind blows him off, he's going to fall in the sea. You never see him again. Never see him again. That is when men were men. Okay. Nowadays, you get a man, he's hiding behind a settee with a mask on because he thinks there's something minuscule and tiny is going to give him a snotty nose. So he's Romanian, maybe gypsies, but they're gypsies, not Romanian. They're a bit blonde, don't they? But their van is beautiful and they look really healthy, although they need a visit to the hairdresser. Probably not. This one's having a good pick and they are lovely and happy. You can see that they're healthy and happy. Why? Because they're away from the Phoenician system, aren't they? They don't ask nobody for nothing, these people, the gypsies and that. They just steal it from you. This is in this is in Holland, and they had one room schoolrooms there, but in the summer they let you go outside to have a smokage, because it's Holland. Smoke of what? Hashish or marijuana sold to first floor, and it doesn't look like it costs much money. And he's like, "You gotta be joking me, love, love." She's like, "Oh, I'm not sure, love. Please, please, please. We don't come all the way to Tibet to not get some. You just know that's going to be the best ganja you've ever had in your life in 1960s Tibet." So here is miners, literally. Is that why they call a miner a miner? Yeah, you know it, guys. And average age maybe 8 or 10, and they work down the coal mine because they're small, and the coal face is only 4.5 foot high. If you're tall, you can't stand. Lucky the Welshmen are quite short, but they are very, very strong, like the Irish. He's got a funny eye. He's got no eye. Is that me? No. Oh, that's weirded me out. That has. Let's have a look at these people. Actually, he looks interesting. He looks different. He looks different to the rest. Most people, I don't know whether you've noticed, most people look the same. Some people stand out. This boy. The rest, they all look like they're in the same family. There they go off into the nightmare experience of the education system, poor arrivals. A lot of them go in these places and they got to live in them in dormitories. I bet that's a fucking fun time. Is that a happy place you're going? No, I don't think it is, actually. Here's a cork. Where do I put that? So here's the. Should I swear? No, I shouldn't. Here's the lovely people that are responsible for a lot of our problems. Is the royals. Okay, here's Queen Victoria off her head on probably everything because she used Albert's death as an excuse. You're going to turn out a right mentalist as well. Look, so you got three brothers here, and like they're all in. They're all going to be battling one another in World War One in a short time. You got George, Kaiser, Nicholas, and Little Willie, which is an unfortunate name if you're like a dictator or what have you of a country like Germany, isn't it? It'd be better if he was called like Massive Willie. I'm only joking. So yeah, the rest of the sprogs, they chuck them in Britain into the trade, rag trade, to collect cotton from under here. Here, Lucy, go into that way and collect the cotton. And then she goes under there. A little hand comes out with the cotton. The lady takes it and she goes back under at 90 mile an hour and just like all bits of meat. And Lucy They're so sick. They actually had Filipino baby zoos in Coney Island in the turn of the last century. Yes, you heard me right. They had human zoos. They had cages with indigenous people from the Philippines in cages, including children, that you could go and feed like you do with animals at the zoo today. I'm just letting that soak in. And then you got the biggest migration of peoples in the last century, the evacuation of children in World War II out of the major cities, out of London, off to strange families, etc. And this little kid breaks my heart. You little eyelashes. And he's got a cake and he's left on his own with no one to look after him, which is like heartbreaking. And off to God knows where, in Abercwmbacwm, somewhere in Wales is where he's going. I was thinking it was uncalled for. I think there was something else going on to get these kids away from their parents for some of them up to 4 years, believe it or not. That was an agenda. So the Amish pretty got it nailed, haven't they? They got their uniform as well, their hat, exactly the same clothes, starch, trousers, the whole thing. The uniform is pretty much the same, I guess, now, but they don't ask nobody for nothing. They look after themselves. They don't bother with, like, well, cultural Marxism, basically drugs, clothes, money, porn, and all that wank that they offer everybody that are all into these days. Okay? They're not interested. And this is why they've probably thrived. I'm not saying I'm going to become an Amish, but, you know, these people have found some sort of melted structure, haven't they? On their day out. Look how fine they all look. They are all so immaculately turned out. And this is in Mexico, and they found some sort of guy crawling out of a tunnel. Is this just showing you that these arrivals, the ant people, all different peoples that have turned up, the star people from the star forts, as Laura once said, the ant people, all these different peoples, that they come out of tunnel systems, the new occupants, the Phoenicians, and all these strange looking peoples that are all around the place. They all arrived from somewhere. We're not like Chinese people. I'm not like a Chinese people. I'm not really like a Phoenician either. More, I don't know, it's difficult to say. So we got Potbelly, Ricketts, and Berry. These kids, and they are affected by the Stalin's famine, where he kills umpteen tens of millions of Russians, declares war on the countryside, the poor people, kills them all because they, not doing anything really except dying. So he stabbed them all out, and this is the result. Yeah. Stalin is a special kind of bastard, isn't he? Talking of special kind of bastards, they're going to leave the world in ruin twice in the next 100 years. There's Willie. Oh, there's Willie. Kaiser Wilhelm there, next to George. With Granny Kins. What a spoiled bunch of bastards. So back to the east, they got some fine silks on, sitting around, waiting for the bong and mixed bowl to arrive, as you do. I like this guy. He looks pretty proud. I think he's a North American Indian, probably, with his squaw and his secondary squaw and Sprog. Peace. How? Well, first you bomb them into submission. Oh, yes, that works. That's the way America does it. So, turn of uniforms, we will bomb you into peace. This is in Russia, in Moscow, turn of the last century, and they show you that there's a general uniform to the people, which is really weird. There's like no independent dress sense. It's like doesn't exist. Independent expression of consciousness. Let's have a look. So he looks quite pleased with himself, but he's just visited a prostitute, hasn't he? I don't know if that's true. He's pleased about something. Ugh. So they got these long coats on. They just stroll around Russian style with their big boots. Yeah. The architecture is fantastic. They do a lot of loitering and just hanging around, basically. But like I said, they all got these uniforms on, haven't? What the fuck was that? Excuse. Oh, did I swear? That's the first one in the whole vlog. What is that? It's just a weird beard. It looked like a tampons hanging off his beard. Let's have a look at that in a minute. That's too weird. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me in comments. I think it looked like he was a scarf or something. I don't know. So you got a couple of people look a bit different. The richer ones, I'm guessing. But they all got these flat caps. He looks tough. And they're all in the military. All of them. Everyone. America didn't do exactly the same as that. See, back in the McCarthyist days, they had like all the Americans like petrified of communism, even though their country had just been eaten alive by cultural Marxism and they allowed it to happen. They were petrified of what was the worst thing, that the communists had no Western democracy products. It was all about what you buy. They haven't got any televisions. They haven't got any Walkmans. Do you want to live in a hell with no Walkmans? Is what they're saying to you. So let's have a look at some coal miners. Now, this is a narrative that's bullshit. This is in north of England, Halifax area, where there's also coal mines, very much like South Wales. Here's the miners just finished 10 pints of Guinness in the pub. Now, I keep saying now. What we find is they got uniforms on. Who introduced the flat cap? It doesn't work. Shit, it's rubbish. It doesn't shelter you from sun. It keeps slipping off. It offers little protection. It's not warm. I think the flat cap is rubbish. Who invented it? Because it's crap. So they had free energy. So all of this narrative of why would they make them all dig coal, all spend 50 years down the mines from a child, pneumoconiosis, the mining communities aspired. The greatest thing you could be in your community if you were a little boy was a coal miner, because they were arrogant and they had a swagger and they were thought to be the upper class, the workmen, coal miners, because they were on good money and they worked hard. So they had pride and they would have thought themselves a good industry, keep the home fires burning. Without the coal men or without the miners, Britain would freeze in the winters, they say, because they're burning coal. So 100 years before, they're not doing that, are they? So everyone just freezes to death, is it? Do you think that makes sense? Excuse me. Let me just rehash that, redo that. So yeah, thank you for coming by. This video will not be too much longer. If you would be so kind as to subscribe. I've got 50,000 subs. I'm buzzing about that. I just have a little look at this video. They're coming out of the mills. Okay. And it all seems acted. In fact, they all look like they're in costume, maybe. I don't even know. It's just weird, the whole thing. So they've been in there all day since early morning. There's a guy outside with beer so they don't get drunk as soon as they come out. I mean, the little kids. Yeah, that's right. Makes you think, I'm glad I wasn't a child then, is what it makes you think, doesn't it? In that part of the world. So not having a brilliant time. So they had free energy and then they make them dig coal. Why? Right, when they don't need it. Because they want to dig that seam out. They want to get to America through that seam. Again with the uniforms, the shawls. Get that everywhere in the world. It's not that funny. It's only a camera, you donut. Go, fuck off. Sign in. Oh, well, they've probably never seen anything like it. This kid's nice. Feel sorry for him. He's miles away and he's just gone. He's mesmerized. They all think it's way funny. They look like 40-year-old men and their little children. It just does my head in. So that's what they're all doing there, working in there. Don't look at him. I know it's upsetting. He looks 90. I know. And he got stinking cold. Imagine where he sleeps. Imagine how he lives. What he eats. Will he grow up to be one of them? More beer, more abuse, more shit society, because Britain really fucking sucks. It's such a dark place. What is wrong with them all? Oh, it's bad now. What was it like back then? So use the busies. Use the busies. Going to kick your head in if you're naughty. God, he's a big chunk, that guy, the one copper. Rapist. And there is... I don't know if that's true. They do that. In the past, because who are you going to run to? Some sort of compound. Oh. Interesting bit of footage by Mitchell and Keenan. They recorded these in the early 1900s. British towns, working class life. Check out this British guy now tossing the Vicks. Fuck you. So some things don't change. Yeah, we're talking to you. You're looking at me. You'll end up punk rocker. If he was out, if that kid was out in 1977, he would have made a brilliant punk rocker. Tunnels. Oh, I've been going sailing. You may have seen on my community message. My son bought a yacht, a boat, sailboat, as you know. And I found this out. I knew about it when I was a kid, but it blew my head off to think that when we were on the water, underneath us was a tunnel. I know people have been through it. I haven't myself. It was closed just before I was born. So the hidden tunnel that runs for miles underwater, which used to connect Cardiff and Penarth. There it is. So it's still there, but they've bricked it over, so you can't go in there. So you could go and walk from Cardiff to another town, the neighbouring town Penarth, under the Cardiff Bay. They say that they closed it down in the 1960s because of vandalism, which I'm not buying, by the way. It went for more than 60 years from the end of Ferry Road in Grangetown. Construction of the tunnel begins, they reckon, in 1897. Okay. And then the tunnel, cylindrical section of the tunnel was laid 1899, and then it's closed by 1960s. There they are digging it out. They got some tunneling machine going on here. So they were digging underwater in the town where I live. They were digging underwater in the Bristol Channel to lay the Bristol Channel Railway Tunnel, Severn Tunnel. And they were under the English Channel. They go underwater with tunnels. This is the proof. What if they had a bigger one of these and it went down? Do you think that the pressures they couldn't equalize? Do you think they couldn't get the air down there? Cyclists must walk. That's fair enough. I went through a massive tunnel under the river. It was only this wide enough for a horse and cart, underneath the river in Hamburg when I was young. So that's where the entrance would have been, and it's blocked over now, and it's just like a motorway bridge there. It's all gone in that hillside, which is a shame because it's still under there. Why won't they open it up? It would be a really good feature. So my son is docked in Penarth Marina, which used to be part of the biggest coal exporting port in the world, right the way up to Second World War. Penarth Docks was commissioned in World War II by the Americans for years for an embarkation point and preparation for D-Day. So it was in 1940s American territory. This was. The son's boat is right by there. This is Penarth in the old days. There's a lot of Tatarian buildings there, and they are all mud flooded. Yes, yet. The photographs show them they're just out in the mud in nowhere. There's nothing else around them in the older photographs. So here it is when it was a forest of masts from clippers and coal clippers, steamships from every corner of this place, exporting coal all over the world to keep the fires going, and the steel and the coke for the steelworks. So they say this is a photograph of it being dug out. This is the upper basin, and they're digging out the lower basin. So I was wondering about, the construction of docks, the Cardiff docks itself. In my family tree, my great grandfather left Bridgewater in Somerset and came to Cardiff to build Cardiff docks in the 1830s. 1840s. So like my descendants, that's why I'm in Wales now, because originally they were from Bridgewater in Somerset, and they came to Cardiff docks to build it. So I think a lot of these places like Victoria Dock, Liverpool, and a lot of these docks look like they got mud flood, but some of them must be older. They must be. These monumental lock gates, which I'll show you, we went through only yesterday or day before. Wednesday, actually. Here is in the 1980s, absolutely nothing there. The dock was still tidal. The lock gates had been blocked off here, actually, and had just been left to go dry. I actually remember it when it was like that. It was a pitiful state. And then they just ploughed money in. See these two Tatarian buildings? This is the custom house. And this is another one that is left to ruin. And I will show you them right now. So you've got to sail out of the locks, out into the bay, which I showed you, Captain Scott just sailing past. So this was in Penarth, a town, as I mentioned, beautiful town, absolutely gorgeous, next to Cardiff. And I've never seen this, and it is the Espana Hotel. It was knocked down in the 70s. I have no recollection in my brain of seeing this when I was a kid. I'm sure I did, guys, but I can't remember it. So it was a massive Tatarian building, hotel, ornamental gardens, all of it. Caught fire, unfortunately, and was gone by 1977. You can see it was still a major ship. This is just the Penarth side. Cardiff's over here, a bit much bigger. And you go there under that water through a tunnel. There they are, them Tatarian buildings. And this one is a ruin. There it is. This is the custom house, 1860s, I think it says on there. A lot of mud and stuff. And it is definitely, they actually in the narrative said that it had one of the most expansive wine cellars in the region, or Wales, I think, in the country. Yeah, the best wine cellar in the country in the bottom of this custom house. I'm not surprised all the duty and customs it can get. And what a fine looking building this. The roof's completely gone on it now. So unfortunate. There's that hotel, which I've never seen. Dinners, teas, confections. I don't remember it. Weird how I don't remember it. And there is 1977, and the roof had gone, it burnt down. No, I can't remember that, unfortunately. It looked like that. It's just crazy to think. I missed it. Wow. There you are. There it is with the roof gone opposite Penarth Pier. Burnt down and gone. So, yeah. Excuse me. So, I've been doing a bit of, sailing. Like I said, I'm going to be training up with my son to learn. I know navigation, but I want to learn like proper celestial navigation and get to know these charts so we don't run aground or hit anything. We're going to learn the weather. I'm going to learn the sails, and we are going to go on a long trip. And I'll explain now. This is a video I'm going to propose to you on Saturday. Come back. It's concerning free energy. It's going to blow your head off. This week, terrible thunderstorms, flat today. I couldn't go live. We had these outside. They massive thunder for about 5 hours, 6 hours. I got a rainbow out the street, a local rainbow, and giant hail, like you wouldn't believe. Really, really weird weather. Guessing Glastonbury was a washout. So here we are, out on the bay. My son's yacht, they're in Windy Ridge. And we've been watching loads of videos about people are using exactly the same boat as this, the same technology, and they are going to cross literally the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean in one of these. So there's nothing to stop us, really. We got the bottle. We're two non-give-a-fuckers. We really need to get trained up with the sails, find out how to use them, so we can use less motor. And we're going to go somewhere far away, and we're going to take you all with us. And not only that, we're going to do a better voyage. There's my son, who's Welsh Dragon Metals. You'll find him linked up below in the descriptions box. My son, Lawrence Leaker, whose ship that is. And we're going to get familiar with them sails. There we are on Cardiff Bay having a boat. So I'm like literally addicted to boating now. I can't really actually think about anything else. It's amazing buzz. It's the best drugs you can ever imagine. It really, really makes you high and makes you feel good. So there it is. So yeah, we've been watching videos. Some people using exactly the same boat to go across the Atlantic Ocean, and they do it on YouTube. They do YouTubes, and they get their subscribers to sort them out to go across the Atlantic Ocean, just basically risk their ass and shit. I thought that's a fantastic idea. So things are back on. This got cancelled because I didn't really push it and stuff, but I'm willing to do it now because basically time is good for this. Flat Earth, the final cut convention with myself, Dave Murphy, Roxanne Glenn, others will be there, Albino Canapini, and it is now rescheduled for August the 27th and 28th. Now that'll give people more time. If they want to go to the birthplace of Tesla, Croatia is out of this world. I got told the best looking women in the world live in Croatia. Yeah, I've seen your years pick up then. I'm going. We're all going to go on a jolly, and I will push this now. I'm trying to sell some tickets because that's why it didn't happen the last time, because I couldn't be asked. This is Penarth Head, and it looks like a wall of some sort, this cliff. Okay. And doesn't this look like a tunnel? Like a red brick tunnel into the side of the cliff? Oh, yeah. It does, doesn't it? There's another one, yeah. It really, really does look like a tunnel entrance. How do you know it's not? Bricked up and then fused over with the event, the meltage. There's like a course of red bricks up here on this cliff as well. So that is on the coast, the foreshore. It's a bit muddy. They have got a nice beach there, and you do find beach glass and old boats and stuff. But up by there is, in fact, a course of red bricks. Oh, it's showed up. Jolly good. Can you see that? A course of red bricks in there. And that tunnel entrance looks like it's red bricks as well. So some of this cliff is actually a ginormous wall that they've made in some period in the past. And they also got a Victorian observation booth, which is now left to rack and ruin because they can't be bothered because they don't know how to make things, invest wisely because they're stupid. There's the ships going in. So, been part of my entire life is the sea, and I never feel more happier than when I'm on the water, away from everything and them. And it just feels fantastic. So, there is really good videos out there I've been watching, and they just really feel spiritual about it all. The water, it makes me feel more and more with the creator, with the water guys. And I'm like, it's too much distraction, and I can't think properly in the city, and there's too much bullshit going on all the time, and people are weird, and they like drama and stuff, and I can't bother. See, when you're at sea, none of it. Now, I did capture this. It could be a lens flare, but in the sunset there was a secondary body. But there also was, if you can see by there, I caught a sundog, but there is a second sun, and I don't think it's a lens flare on a mobile phone that far over and to the left, because I don't think that works. Oh, that's a lens flare. Oh, it could be there. And there's that dog then, the sundog, caused from chemtrails. See here, the rainbow. There wasn't one the other side. Sometimes there is. And we're going to go out there to them in the very near future. We'll take you live and record it, I mean, so you don't have to miss anything. Now, another thing is I'm standing here, right? If I had my binoculars and my camera, which is no longer with me, the Severn Bridge was there, and it was 27 miles away, and I could see the bottom of it. I'm afraid that's not even possible on a globe. I know. That's a good thing about sailing is I've been looking for this curvy water they keep talking about, and my son's looking for it too. And you know what? No, I know. We can't find it. Can't find curvy water, guys. What are we gonna do? Huh? We're gonna do absolutely nothing. There's that Italian building I just showed you with that really fine roof, and that's what they're selling it. They're selling it. Somebody should be a shrewd businessman, buy this up, turn it into like nice things, not like capitalist bullshit, but nice things, and open that up. Stop leaving it there like that. It's disgusting. Next door is this. They have bands on. They got vintage cars in the drive, and it was built 1865. Then there's the custom house. 1865. There you are. Oh, really early custom house, this one. But these are some of the oldest ports in Britain that I'm talking about right now. There I am, looking very relaxed in my son's cabin on board the boat. So that's what we've been doing, and I'll show you now. That's nice. Happy people doing boating what we like. Okay. Here's another interesting thing. Trump was cited as saying this. I can't really verify it. I wasn't there. But he says, I fly a lot. I mean a lot. No one flies more than me. Listen, I own a jet. I own a 747. Beautiful plane. It's the best plane in the world. If the world were round, believe me, I would know. Yeah, you would. And Trumpski, I definitely think you're a flatty. But who knows? So yeah, I'd be watching this guy. He went across the Atlantic to the Azores. To be honest, he's a bit of a. Excuse me. He went to Ireland. He's a nice enough fella. He's a bit of a plum. But there's another guy I've been following. He went to Hawaii, and it's out of this world. So yeah, he's got exactly the same size boat. Okay, same size. It's a foot smaller than my son's. All you got to get down is that navigation. Yeah, grow a pair of bollocks. get out there. And then that's it. And that's what, basically, we're ready. We're just training up now, and we're going to do a voyage. We're going to get out into the ocean. We're going to take you all with us. Okay? And we'll be smiling as well. And if we get lost at sea, it doesn't even matter, because it will be just epic way to go. Instead of dying old, shitting in your bed as an old man. So, somebody linked me this. I'm really grateful. I'll put it in the descriptions box. Somebody released a book, and you can get it here on the Internet Archive. It's One World Titanian's Color, the greatest civilization ever to be erased from history. I don't know this guy, James W. Lee. Contact me, mate. I really don't know you. I don't think you've got them Flat Earth books out as well. So good going. And he does dedications. He tells you about the narrative for Tartaria, but he gives me a nice big shout here. Forefront of my agreement, of my knowledge, are the likes of Martinliedtke of flatearthbritish, John Levy, and I haven't got a clue who that is, if I'm honest. And UAP's there, Subtronic, Richard Lopez, and Daryl Marble, observation deck. Daryl Marble, maybe the Flat Earth stuff. North American Mud Evidence Group, and the Facebook groups. So I'll link that below. Some fantastic pictures in there. If you do watch this video, Mr. Lee, contact me. Thank you for the dedication, and thank you for your work. It was really interesting. Actually, it was really interesting. I actually learned a bit from you as well. Okay. The culture, the Tatarians, the Blackmoors, peace on earth, free energy, Russia with love. I used that as a vlog title once, you know. Construction is a great title. So well worth a look. I will link that up in the descriptions box in below this video. I'm coming back for a brief second, and I'm going to be going. I'm going to be back on Saturday. Right, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to. That was 1 hour 30. That was perfect. I'll just summarize. I was going to do membership for my channel because I actually need money desperately, and I thought about it long and hard, and I've always been against the idea, and I didn't want my channel to be about that anyway. So I'm just going to have a think about it for a moment, see what happens. Let the universe sort of things out, maybe. I don't even know. So yeah, what's the chances of a feasibility of a transatlantic tunnel built sometime in antiquity, guys? Is it still there? Are they moving large amounts? Do they populate America through bringing people through it? It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It does in my Brian. I will see you on the weekend, Saturday, if not before. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you would like it. This video, if you did, subscribe to all Flat Earth British channels. You will see linked up in the descriptions box below this video, and contribute to my channel if you like to. If you can't, don't worry about it, but if you can, that would be fucking fantastic. Double flat thumbs to infinity thrice. I'm Aria. Have a great rest of the evening, whatever you're doing. Much love to you all. Keep that vibration good and high. Okay, keep that vibration high, guys. Do not let them get you in any way, shape, or form. I am here to make sure you keep a high level of not give a fuckness. Okay, peace and love to you. Boom Shankar, and I'll see you very, very soon. One love.